What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you a basic guide of 61 Warlock. Warlock is one of Mage's highest single target DPS specs at the moment. If not the highest, it offers good cleave up to 3 targets and good single target DPS. The spec is 61 Warlock, 15 Necro, and 0 Arbiter. Warlock requires a little bit more micromanagement than Pyro or Harp does, but with a little bit of practice, you can get it down no problem. The points, obviously 61 Warlock, 15 Necro, 0 Arbiter. For Necro, we go 5 points in Death's Ally, 3 points in Flesh Rot, 5 points in Flesh Graves, and 2 points in Death's Influence. Our Legendaries are Legendary Galvanic Strike, Conflux, Nedra's Grasp, Void Barrage, and our throwaway Legendary Plague Bolt. The Masteries, as you can see from left to right, bottom to top, is 3, 3, 1, 1, 3. You can choose between Arcane Manipulation or Ethereal Blast. I'm pretty sure they're about equal. I like Arcane Manipulation because I cast it on myself, so if I'm target switching, it's on me and not the target. Yeah, that covers the spec. Right now, Legendary Nedra's Grasp is it's having some issues. The devs should have it fixed by the 20th next week. So if you're watching this after the 20th, it's good to go. If not, I'll show you what we're doing with it as of right now. Let's get into the buffs and the macros. Alright, for the buffs we're using with Warlock, we got Nedra's Might, Warlock Armor, and Acquiesce Blessing. Probably butchered that. Let's get into the macros now. The macros for Warlock are pretty basic. We don't have a whole lot that we put in the macros. Your spam macro is Death's Door. Cast itself Arcane Manipulation or Ethereal Blast, whichever one you're using. Right now, because as I was saying, the Legendary Nedra's Grasp is having some issues, we have it in our spam macro. But if you're watching this after the 20th and they've fixed the issue with the Legendary, remove that out of there. So if it's after the 20th and the ability is fixed, it would go Death's Door, Arcane Manipulation, Draining Bolt, Void Bolt. But as of right now, we have it in our spam macro. For your cooldown macro, we have Empowered Darkness, Conflux, Cast itself Arcane Manipulation, and Void Barrage. I also have an interrupt macro with this Warlock spec. We have 2 interrupts, which is quite nice. The first one, Choke, which is great in PvP. It interrupts enemy, and on successful interrupt, it debilitates them for 5 seconds. It's got a 30-second cooldown, but we also have a normal interrupt that is on a, I believe, 8-second cooldown. Anyways, that's the interrupt macro, and then you don't 100% need this, but this is a quick way to refresh your dots on the target. Salvage Corruption and Deathly Pal, excuse me. So yeah, those are the 4 macros that I use with Warlock, and we've went over the buffs, so now we'll get into the spec a little bit, and rotation, excuse me. Alright, so the rotation of Warlock pretty much all revolves around Conflux. It increases the speed at which our dots tick. Warlock is a dot-based spec, so this is extremely important. The whole idea is to have this up anytime we cast or refresh our dots on our target. There's 2 ways to apply your dots. You can manually cast them individually, or you can cast Void Barrage, which applies all of your dots. The ways to refresh them, there's 3 ways. Counting Void Barrage, which applies them, that's one way of refreshing them. The second way is Persist, that refreshes all of your dots on the target, and the third way is Salvage Corruption, and Deathly Pal. Salvage Corruption pulls the dots off of your target, stores them on your character, and Deathly Pal reapplies them. These are both 5-second cooldowns. I have these macroed together as I showed you. It's a very quick way to refresh your dots. The dots that we are using with Warlock are Death's Door. This is only castable when the target is below 50% health. It's in your spam macro. Dark Touch, a Trophy, Defile, and Narcosis. Alright, so now we'll go over a few other abilities you need to keep up and our cooldowns. The first one you need to keep up is Galvanic Strike. This is a 30-second buff to yourself that increases your damage. You need to have full charge anytime you cast or refresh this. The second one is Contaminate. This is a toggled ability that increases your dot damage by 30%. The next one is Empowered Darkness. Empowered Darkness increases your damage by 50%, but only for 15 seconds. Anytime Empowered Darkness is not active, we want to have Contaminate toggled on, and vice versa. So now that we've gone over that, we're going to go over the opener. Alright, so now we'll go over the opener and how to put it all together. You start off with Galvanic Strike, Nedra's Grasp, and then your Empowered Darkness cooldown macro. You want to spam this until it channels your Void Barrage. Once Void Barrage is done channeling, you want to use your spam macro. You're also casting Consuming Agony anytime it procs. Don't hard cast it, only use it when you have a proc. You continue spamming your spam macro, and you want to refresh your dots at an odd number. So 1 second left or 3 seconds left. If 1 second left is hard to hit because of your latency, do it at 3 or whatever feels most comfortable for you. Reason being, the dots will double tick if you hit it at 1 second or 3 seconds left. After you refresh them the first time, continue using your spam macro. Roughly around this time, Void Barrage will be off cooldown again. Rechannel that, and keep going back to your spam macro. And then right before Conflux falls off again, you want to refresh your dots one more time using one of the three ways. Again, you can refresh them with Void Barrage, Persist, or by Salvage Corruption and Deathly Pal by pulling them off and reapplying them. Just because the buff is off you, if you reapplied them before it falls off, they still benefit from the speed boost. So you want to make sure you refresh it or refresh all of your dots one more time before Conflux falls off. If you do this correctly, you will have 100% uptime on Conflux buffing your dots. So now we'll put it all together and you can see it work. Also, once they fix Nedra's Grasp Legendary, you will want to monitor this and take it out of your spam macro and monitor Lingering Torment on your target, and you will be randomly casting this casting this to keep up your Lingering Torment. Also, you will be doing Galvanic Strike somewhere throughout that to keep the buff up. So now I'll put it all together and you can check it out. Alright, now we'll put it all together. You can see what it looks like. As you can see, I don't have any consumables up. I'll show you my stats just so you see where I'm at. And yeah, here we go. Galvanic Strike, Nedra's Grasp, Power Darkness cooldown macro, using our spam macro. Gonna refresh our dots right before Power Darkness falls off, that way we get the damage buff. As you can see, Nedra's Grasp is not staying up. Refresh our dots, 3 seconds left. Turn on Contaminate. Gonna cast Void Barrage as soon as it's up. It's up now. Refreshing Galvanic Strike. And we want to refresh our dots one more time right before they fall off. 1 second left to reapply. Nedra's Grasp not staying up. Our dots might fall off for a hair second. We're going to reapply them. And that's pretty much the entire rotation. Power Darkness is about up. Cast that. Refresh our dots. Void Barrage back up. We want to refresh our dots right before Power Darkness falls off. Turn back on Contaminate. Refresh Galvanic Strike. And that's pretty much the entire rotation. I normally sit about 780, 790. I'm doing kind of sloppy right now because I'm talking as well. But that's it. It's basically about refreshing your dots at the correct time. Just remember that you want to refresh your dots when your buffs are up. They don't need to be up the entire time to benefit from the buffs. They just have to be up when you refresh them or applied them. This was a very basic guide on Warlock. There is a lot better guide and information on the Google Spreadsheets. quite a few people in the Rift or the Mage community update that and keep it highly updated with all the goodies. This can definitely be further in depth of a guide. I didn't go over a lot of small things that can min-max your damage, but this was definitely a good starting point for people learning how to or wanting to learn Warlock. Thanks for watching. I will link the Kalerts and the Google Spreadsheets to or in the description of the video. I highly recommend checking it out. They've got very in-depth guides on all the mage specs, best in slot gear, the works, you name it, mage related, it's there. Again, thanks for watching and have a good one.